Good morning, gifted crafters. It's crafting time.
Worries on my mind, it's been a tough week. My life feels a void. There's something that I need. My supplies on the table, I grab a comfy seat. I need to craft to put my mind at ease. Crafting changed my life, it mends my soul. In my happy space, I'm in full control. It's crafting time, craft my troubles away. Give me a world of color to brighten up my day. Crafting videos on, searching what I can do. Sipping on my drink, feeling inspired and new. Crafting's good for the soul, it's so true. Bringing beauty into the world through. As I craft, my spirits start to climb. It's not just a pastime, it's a state of mind. It's more than just a hobby, it's a way of life. I express myself, everything is feeling just right. It changed my life, it mends my soul. In my happy space, I'm in control. It's crafting time, craft my troubles away. Give me a world of color to brighten up my day. Crafting videos on, searching what I can do. Sipping on my drink, feeling inspired and new. Crafting changed my life, it mends my soul. In my happy space, I'm in control. It's crafting time, craft my troubles away. Give me a world of color to brighten up my day. Crafting videos on, searching what I can do. Sipping on my drink, feeling inspired and new.
Live from the Sunshine State in Miami, Florida, here is the Gifted Crafters Morning Show with Nancy.
Good time. Ooh, time to get our craft on. Ooh, time to have fun. Ooh, time to feel good.
Good morning, Gifted Crafters, and welcome back to the Gifted Crafters Morning Show. Good morning out there. We've got people tuning in from all over the place, and it just amazes me every single time how everyone kind of gets together and we all have one thing in common. We love to craft. So if that's something that you're into, you're definitely in the right place. And if you're here for the first time, my name is Nancy with GiftsHQ. Go ahead and pop yourself into the chat. Say hello, because we have the best community out there, and they will welcome you, and we will help out if you have any questions. And we like to share all kinds of tips, tricks, ideas, anything that comes to mind in the crafting world. We share all kinds of things, including mistakes. So today is a special day because we had a big boo-boo yesterday and we fixed it. So we're going to go ahead and share what the tips are to help you avoid making those mistakes. So let me make the mistakes so that you don't have to, because that's really a nice way to kind of share our experiences and help each other out. So thank you again for tuning in. Let's see who we have here. We've got people from San Antonio, Texas. Good morning. You're checking in from Philly. Good morning, Joyce. How are you? And we have to say congratulations to Cheryl, because this morning she's from Wisconsin and she's on her second day of the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show, and she's got a ribbon on her quilt. Isn't that amazing? Yay! Awesome, Cheryl. Way to go. I love that. Alrighty. And then we also have Robin's Quilt Basket from Maryland. Good morning. Cindy from Michigan. Good morning. We've got Alabama in the house here. We've got Richmond, Illinois. Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, JBL. And good morning to all of you out there. I really appreciate all the support you guys give me. This is really amazing. I have an awesome time. It's just a great way to start off the day. And it's just amazing to, kind of get together and talk about something that we all love. Alrighty, yay. Good morning, Batita. Good morning, Cheryl. Good morning, Robin, Cindy. Not sure who else I missed. Lisa, Melissa. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Okay, so we are ready for another fantastic day, and it's TGIF, guys. Woohoo! We made it. It is TGIF. It is Friday. We've made it to another week, and boy, we've got some stuff to talk about today. So let's get to it. First things first, we always have to start our day off with a nice little toast. So grab your cup of whatever it is that you're having today, and don't worry if you don't have something. I'll pour something for you. So go ahead and raise those glasses to our little gifted crafter morning crew, right? And let's go ahead and toast to that. We all have a fantastic day. So cheers to you guys. And I'm gonna grab my little swivel here. Yes, I am still drinking my water, my iced water in the morning. That's the first thing that kind of wakes me up, and then I'm off to doing other things like coffee. So, but I just gotta have that morning water to just, waken my body up. Water, water, water. It's always good for you, right? Okay. So now that we've got our water, hopefully you're in your little cozy spot or a safe place to watch. Let's go grab some snacks, because you gotta have those too, right? So let's go ahead and roll out our cart. We're going to do a little bit of exercise today, and we're going to walk over with our cart. There it is. Don't worry, we've got everything on the cart that you will need, from coffee, tea, soda. We even have that water there too. Don't forget to drink that water. And of course, yeah, we've got a unicorn going across, don't we? Well, it's Friday. I guess that's good. We've got muffin bagels, and we even have kale and carrots for the healthy folks that like to have a shake in the morning. So, hope you guys enjoyed your snacks. Go grab anything you want. It's all free and totally virtual, so no calories. So, let's go ahead and get started, because we have a lot to talk about today. So if you've been watching this week, we have been working on a Designs by JuJu. This is a Scarecrow utensil holder. It's a pattern that you can purchase from her site, and it does have the hoop size as starting at a 5x7 hoop size, and it goes up to various other sizes that you can do. I believe the largest, actually I'm not sure if the largest is 4.9 by 10 inches is the next bigger size, but it's got various different sizes that you can do, and you can see that on that second page. So 5x7, 8x8, going all the way up to 6x10. So you've got various sizes that you can do for this project. However, there are a lot of people out there that don't have these huge hoops, right? We have maybe at best the 5x7 hoop. That's probably for the machines that are out there. I have the Brother SE 1900. So my machine back here only uses up through a 5x7 hoop. However, there is something that you can purchase rather than your standard 5x7 hoop, right, you can purchase what's called a repositional hoop. And so a repositional hoop, this is a 5x12 size. So it gives you a little bit of a bigger design that you can do, right? You have that extra space right here that you're allowed to do with your same machine. And the way this is done, the way the hoop works is that it has notches on the side. This is same notches that you would attach to your regular machine using the 5x7 hoop. If you look at the 5x7 hoop, there's 2 notches here, right? These are the 2 notches that you would use to attach to your machine. On a repositional hoop, you have 4 notches. You have 2 here and 2 here. And so the way repositional hoops work is that the design itself is made on a repositional hoop. And we've talked about how you can do that in Embrilliance to change to a repositional hoop, super easy. And then all you would do is you would spread your design out within that frame. And what will happen is when you put it on your machine with that design using a repositional hoop, the middle portion of your design will be overlapped. And so what the machine does is it will stitch out, it will give you 2 digital files that you can use, a top file and a bottom file. And what happens when you stitch this out is that the top will stitch out, the bottom will stitch out, and then the middle portion of the hoop will overlap each other so that you can have one cohesive design. So this is how a repositional hoop works. And we were able to do that with this particular design by Designs by JuJu. So one of the things that was a little bit concerning was this design for a 5x7 hoop. It's meant for it to be a utensil holder. Well, my utensils go a lot longer than a 5x7, so I would clearly want to make something a little bit bigger. And so that's what kind of motivated me to use my repositional hoop, because I know I would want a longer one, but I do not have a 6x10 hoop to be able to accomplish that. So not only did we make a 5x7 design here, but we turned it into this right here, which became our longer one. And this one, let me see, we've stretched this one out. It ends up, it's about 5x10 is what I stretched it out to be. Now the hoop is 5x12, so I could have made it just a little bit bigger, but I decided to stop at 10 because I thought this was a perfect size to put my utensils in. So now it has this nice little pocket. So you've got that front design, and then you have the backing that you have for your utensils. So I think it came out pretty good, but we had some issues yesterday, and I want to share a couple of tips with you on that. So we're going to go through some of those steps, but before we do all of that, we've got some crafting news to talk about, right? And I've got quite a few stories on here in some of the areas that you guys are in. So let's jump over to our crafting news real quick so we can go through those. Okay, so the first thing that I have for you is in the about a reminder about the Wilkes County Quilt Guild. It's an annual quilt show. It's happening at 9 a.m. today, Friday, September the 5th, and Saturday the 6th at the Stone Center in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Admission is $5, and the proceeds are going to help quilts for babies, kids, and veterans. So don't forget to, if you're in that area, don't miss that event, because they're going to be giving away a Genovi sewing machine. So that's pretty cool. So now we're going to go over to Pendleton, Indiana. So if you're anyone in that area, and I think we have a few people that may be in that area, so you may want to check out the neat tradition that takes place this season, and it's the 44th annual Quilts in the Park show, and that's happening now through Sunday at the Pendleton Historical Museum in Falls Park. They will have about 100 quilts made by 35 local quilters and 11 different contest categories. everything from handmade treasures to the first time entries, which is pretty cool. You even have a next generation category that's going for the kids ages 10 to 14, which is pretty neat. Now the show is going to run Thursday through Saturday from 9 to 5 and then Sunday from 1 to 3:30. Admission is a $5 donation to support the museum. So pretty cool on that one as well. And now this one I thought was really neat because I was in the area and I did visit them. So if you're in New York City, if you ever get to go visit the city there, they've got the New York Sewing Center. And this was founded by Christine Frayling about 11 years ago. It's become super popular and it's taken over 2 floors in Manhattan. They opened a second spot in Brooklyn and they're getting ready to launch in New Jersey in December. Now, I visited this place. Unfortunately, when I went, they were closed, but I got to peek through the windows. So it was pretty neat and I loved it. I really want to be able to attend one of the classes the next time I'm in that area. Now, Christine started teaching on a few borrowed machines and then she packed the place with a bunch of people and classes and it was filled up and people just loved learning and doing all kinds of things there. They've made all kinds of upcycling projects from old clothes. They were just learning all kinds of things. People said that it was about community, it was therapeutic, it was social, and it's super empowering. And I just have to agree with all of those. We've got a teen that even discovered her love of sewing after having a forgotten machine in her attic. And she is now stitching costumes for the anime convention. So isn't that pretty cool? So tons and tons of things going on there. And their demand has grown so much that the center's revenues have jumped about 75% in just 1 year. So imagine that one. So New York City is an awesome place to find all kinds of designers and people that are just so creative. So that would be an awesome place to visit if you're ever in that area. Okay, so those are the stories that I have to share with you guys. Now let's kind of jump into the steps that we have here. So yesterday we were working on the Repositional hoop and we were embroidering that here. Now, one thing that happened is when I started to place the top portion, which is this portion right here, onto the backing, right? When I did that and I had it in place and we taped it down a little bit, not too much, we just taped it a little bit. And I brought it back over to the machine. When we placed it underneath the needle, it shifted and I did not notice it. Now, if you recall yesterday, and this is a sample one that I've been kind of playing with when I was doing this initially. So don't mind the colors or anything. I was just testing at this point. So when you are doing this, and I'm going to fold this down to mimic just the bottom portion, right? So when you're stitching this out, you're going to do this in 2 pieces. You're going to have your bottom piece here, right? And then once you stitched out the bottom piece, you're going to attach the bottom piece to the backing. The backing is a separate stitch. And then towards the end of this backing piece, or in the middle of the stitches, the directions will tell you exactly what step it is. You need to attach this front to the back and you need to place it right on top so that it will anchor together and basically create the pocket, right? But it becomes a little bit of a challenge because if you do not line up this properly, you can, when it stitches out, your front pocket, and again, I'll fold it to kind of mimic this, your front pocket here can actually, let's do this on the desk cam here, make it a little bit easier. Your front pocket, when you're placing it here, can shift a little bit. And so what will happen, and this is kind of what happened with us yesterday, it shifted a little bit down, and then it shifted a little bit over. So it ended up being kind of like this. And so it started to stitch this out. And so we were way off. And it's almost like we threw the registration off, which has also happened to me while using this hoop. And that can happen if you don't have enough clearance behind your machine. So an extra note on that one. So as you can see, my machine back here, so my machine here is kind of up against a wall. I literally had to pull my cabinet forward to allow enough space. Since I'm using this repositional hoop, I'm not used to using this size of a hoop. As your machine kind of moves this hoop back and forth here, when you put it on here, it's going to move it forward and it's going to move it back. And when it moves it back, it can bump against that wall, which is what happened to me initially. That will throw the registration off. So you immediately have to stop your machine and check your work to see if depending when you stopped it, if you stopped it right away, you may be lucky and you can just continue on. But if it bumps the wall or if it bumps anything, it will throw the registration off and your stitches will be slightly off. So make sure you pull your machines or make sure you have clearance behind it as your repositional hoop is working on the machine and moving all around. So that's one tip. The next tip is when you're lining this up. So here's what I ended up doing, and let me just grab a couple pins here. What I ended up doing in order to get this back online. You saw yesterday we have stitched it out a little bit and we saw that it was off, right? So what I did last night was I went ahead and I removed the stitches, right? Just with a seam ripper, took the stitches out and just removed the two pieces. Then I went back to realign it. But it can be a challenge to get this realigned and to make sure that you are right where you need to be. What I ended up doing is taking some pins, and I took the pins and I just lined this up to the corner of my project. And so I just kind of stuck a pin in there, and then I just kind of lifted this and I looked at my backing and I wanted to make sure that I was aligned. So if you just pull your pin and then pull it here, and then you'll know, as long as your pin is not on its side, you want to make sure it is nice and perpendicular, 90-degree angle, nice and standing up straight. So you can barely see that because it's standing up straight, but it's there. So you want to make sure that that's standing up straight so you know that you're hitting that corner exactly where you want it to be. And now you'll repeat the same thing on the other side, and then you'll do that on the sides. And then you can kind of peek through underneath to make sure that you're hitting it exactly where you want it. And then I would just leave the pin standing like this till I bring it over to my machine, make sure I have it under my needle, and then before I'm ready to start stitching it, I'll go ahead and remove them, but also remember to also tape it down as well. So that's how I was able to get it right back on. And so then the stitching went on and I went ahead and finished it up. And so it was able to finish the entire project. So worked out pretty well. I was happy with the result. Now, another thing that I did want to warn you about when you are doing this project, you do have to, this is kind of one of those projects that you can't really walk away and just let the machine stitch it out. You really need to watch it because you have this pocket right here. And this pocket is an opening where your needle can kind of get caught up underneath. So as it's kind of stitching the project out, your needle's kind of moving around, right? And so it may jump from one side to the other. And you don't want it to jump from one side and then get all caught up underneath the pocket here. So you can watch it and just make sure as it moves that, you know, it's going to be flat. You can take some tape and just kind of tape this down to make sure that this pocket is not going to be hung up underneath your foot there. So make sure that you're aware of that as well, because that can happen. It can get caught up in the underneath and then kind of, you know, not mess up your project, but you can break a needle if you do that, or, you know, you may have to just stop it and then start over again and rewind and just make sure that the needle doesn't get hung up on here, because it can be a little messy if it does. So just put some tape underneath so it doesn't get hung up on that, and then that will just kind of flatten this out. Or you can just watch it and you kind of know what your next steps are going to be, because we took a look at it from the simulator, so we saw what it's going to do for each step, and you can go back and replay those each time in Embrilliance. And then that will help you determine where the needle is going to go, so you kind of have an idea on when you have to kind of really step in and watch the needle. But once it gets past doing those jumps from side to side, then it's just going to go ahead and embroider the rest of these. And so you're going to have that nice finish on the end. So the only thing I have left to do is just kind of clean up my edges. I do have a couple little frays that I need to snip off, and just, you know, basically do some cleanup. But for the most part, this thing is done, and I think it turned out really great. I really love it. So what I want to talk about today is we want to talk about some other things that you can do with your designs. So we're going to go over to Embrilliance, and I'm just going to show you a couple of things. Okay, let's see. Let me just scan here. Any questions on this? I think we are good. I didn't see any questions on here, but if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and type it in the chat, and I'll try to see that what we have there, and I can grab that. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, so let's go over to Embrilliance. So this is the very first part of your design that you will stitch out. So this is what's the front pocket, right? And so the front pocket has some amazing possibilities that you can do with this, right? And you can do this pretty much with any design, even if it's an in the hoop project or anything like that. Any design that you get, if you have Embrilliance, you can do some amazing work with this. And so I want to show you some things that I was able to do, and I'll show you how to do this. It's very, very simple. So we've got our in the hoop front pocket that we've stitched out, right? And so if you go to the objects panel, you see all of the steps here that are involved for this particular design. Now, this front pocket is done on a 5x7 hoop. No matter what hoop sizing you're going to be doing, the front pocket is 5x7. So that's what is shown here. Now, you can basically take these pieces and create something totally new. So let's kind of take a look at what we have here on the side, because there's a lot of things here that can be used. This little scarecrow here, super adorable. And maybe now that I have my utensil holder, I may make a couple more, right, to match on my table. But maybe I want to make a placemat, or have the little scarecrow on a napkin. Or maybe I want to make a little flag for the outside of my house with the scarecrow on it. There's so many things that you can do with it. And so let's just reuse this design to create something totally different. And super easy for you to do. So first off, I know that I want to get rid of this square here. So I want to get rid of that. And I know I'm not going to need this stitch, this decorative stitch, satin stitch that's here on the top. So we can go ahead and get rid of that. So I'm going to go on here on my objects panel, and I'm going to just highlight what each piece is. So I know I don't need that. I'm going to go ahead and hit the delete button. And of course, you've got your placement line and you've got your tack down line. So we're going to get rid of that one too. And let's see, then it starts the applique. I know I want to keep the scarecrow, so I'm going to keep all the applique pieces. And I'm just going to kind of scroll down to the pieces that I know I do not want. For example, the very last step, which is that decorative satin stitch that it does, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that one, because I don't want that in here. And I don't need the tack down line either. So we're going to get rid of that. So can you see where I'm going with this? Here we are, we've got the scarecrow, and now we have some really cute designs around it, right? But maybe I want to kind of do my own design. So I can totally leave it like this, and stitch this out on, like, let's say a little napkin, and do it on the little corner and have little napkins to match, right? So you would have your utensil holder and the little napkins with the scarecrow on it, using different fabrics that are all kind of fall related. Wouldn't that be cute? So you can do that, or you can totally make something completely different, right? So let's see, this is one design here, and I'll see if I can kind of recreate what I did here. I think I saved it. Here we go. So here's another design that you can make. It says welcome fall. I added some text on here, and I added some leaves, and you can totally make this. And all I did was add the leaves and fill in the stitches, and just added the font, and you can write anything that you want on here. And this can totally be a little flag that you can put outside, or you can put this, you know, on a placemat, maybe make some customized placemats on here. Really, really cool. Okay. Oh, Celia says your explanation of the use of a repositional hoop was excellent. Oh, I have been machine embroidering for quite some time, but I finally now understand repositional. Oh, thank you, Celia. Well, I'm glad I could help. That's what we're here for, to share all kinds of tips with each other. So thank you. Heather says, I used the design on a Dollar Tree pillow for my front porch. Yes, I did see that, Heather. And thanks for sharing that. That was on our Facebook page if you guys want to check that out. Super cute. Loved those designs and how she kind of reused some of those. So that's why I kind of just wanted to get in here and, you know, show you guys, you know, just because you have a design that's for a particular either in the hoop project or a design that you purchase that is maybe one way, you can kind of change things up and make them totally different. So there's just so many things that you can do. And so here is one that I made right here, just using some fonts and adding some, merging some designs on here. Really, really neat. You can merge other designs that you have, whether they be from Designs by JuJu or OESD, or, you know, whatever designs that you have. We all know we have tons of designs. Embroidery designs can be merged, and you can make all kinds of different things using this program. So Embrilliance is really a lot of fun, and you can make so many unique items. Just takes a little bit of time to learn it, but once you get it, oh my gosh, it opens up just a whole new world. You're really gonna love it. So let's see what else we can make with this. So I went ahead and made this one. I thought that's really cute, and I'll show you exactly how to do that. And so here we are with this design. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and open this back up. I'm not too crazy about these swirlies. I think I like the little leaves, right? So I'm going to add something different. So I'm going to go ahead and find where that is. And let's see. Nope, that's not the one. Let's look for it. I think it's right here. Okay, so this is the little swirlies. We can kind of move it over to the side and then decide whether or not we want to bring it in, or we can just delete it. I think I like the little scarecrow the way it is. So I'm thinking that I'm just going to take this and just delete it. And so here we are with our little scarecrow here. And so now let's add some stuff. Let's have some fun with this, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump into Stitch Artist. And there's a bunch of things that you can do. So let's check out the merge design from the library. So if you go ahead and click on that link, you're going to notice a whole bunch of little objects that come out. And you've got things like outlines, and then you have another section if you click on the catalog, and you can grow this catalog. You've got Embrilliance. And so within there, you've got like subfolders. So if you go on the top, you've got alignments. And so you have your basic lines, circles, things like that, even a crosshair. And that may help you if you're trying to line something up. So these can be quite useful. Then you've got applique frames. And this is for your applique. So you can do squares, ovals, trees, you know, all kinds of frames. And just think of so many things that you can make, little badges or, you know, little labels, maybe for your quilts, something like that. You can use these frames to do that. They also give you applique shapes. And so you've got applique blocks, you've got hearts, little doggy stuff, butterflies, all kinds of options here that you can use. Then you have a whole bunch of things down here, fancy shields, you know, so you've got, if you want to do something fancy on maybe a napkin, you know, you can totally do that and customize it, you know, putting some text in here, maybe their initials or something like that. They've got different frames that you can use. You've got some motifs as well, which is really awesome. And then you've got some novelty shapes as well. Okay, we've got a little airplane, a little truck, little chef hat. Wouldn't that be cute for a kitchen? And then we've got shields. So all kinds of things that you can make with this. Really, really neat. And then don't forget to go through the drop down and you can look at your outlines, and you've got all kinds of other shapes as well. So you can pick out any shape that you like. We've got some stuff like gingerbread mans. We've got some moons on here. Totally really cute stuff that you can do for baby blankets and whatnot. And all of that is in here. You can see you have stars. And then I'm going to go down. We've got clouds and bubbles. We got florals, shapes. I mean, there's tons of stuff in here that you can use and you can play with. So don't be afraid to get in here. I mean, oh my gosh, look at that boot. Really cute. You know, there's just so much that you can do here. And so I'm going to go in here and we're going to pick something. So let's see what we can pick from here. We've got floral. And we've got some leaves. So these are some of the leaves that I used. And we can totally do another one. So let's just go ahead and pick that. So I'll just pick this leaf right here. And I'll hit OK. And it's going to bring the leaf right on top of my design. What I like to do is just hit the arrow key and move it over away from my design, so I could really get a better look at it. And so I can see right here, it's probably a little bit too big for what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and resize it by just going to the little corners, and you see the little arrows pop up. Just hold down your mouse and then just drag it, and you can resize it any size you like. Now, I also kind of want to mimic a falling leaf. So what I'm going to do is kind of rotate that. So that's where this little blue dot is. When you hover over it, you see that little circle pop up, and then you can just click and move it around any way you like. So I think I like that there. Now, how do I get it back to where I want to position this? Well, there's a little green dot right in the middle, and when you hover over it, you get the little hand. Once you get the hand, go ahead and click, and then drag it over to wherever you want. And so I'm going to kind of put it right here. Now, I think I want to do something a little bit extra with that. So once again, I'm going to click on that leaf, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill it by just clicking on that button up here. And as you can see, it's now filled. And I can change the colors on it if I want. You know, I can do anything that I want with this. If I look at it right here, you can see here's your fill. You can change the density. You can make it curved. I mean, there's so many different options that you can do here. I'm just going to keep it really simple the way it is. And I kind of like the way that's looking, although I may just kind of tilt it a little more. So let's just go back here, maybe give it a little bit more of a tilt. So it looks like it's falling down, right? And so then you can also just come to the top and you can add some text. And so when you click on this little A icon up here, you've got your text that appears. You can go ahead into the text box and just type something in. I don't know. We can just say fall leaves, or let's just say fall for the top. If you wanted to do multiple lines, say I wanted to type fall, and then on the next line, I wanted to say leaves. You can just click on this icon here that has the multi-line text, and you'll see how this expanded here. I can just hit enter, and I can type anything that I want at this point. And I can kind of just keep going. It's a multi-text, so it'll allow you to do multiple lines. But it's not something that I want to do right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and back out of that. And I'm going to go back to my single line. The other option that you have is you have this little circle, and this just puts the text in a circle. So if I click on that and I type in the word fall, you can see here, and I'll move move this over. Can't talk today. Move this over with my arrow key. You can see how it bends a little bit here. You can totally change that, and you can make it more, you can move it up this way or this way, right? You can kind of bend it any way that you want. Now, I'm not too crazy with the way that looks. I think I'm just going to stick to a straight and just kind of have it like that. But I don't like the text, so maybe I'm going to change my text. So I'm going to go ahead and click right here, and you've got all these different fonts here that you can select from, and you can totally add more fonts. Now, on this particular laptop, I only have the default fonts that are on here, but you can add any kind of font that you purchased. Like, so if you purchase any fonts from a designer, those can be imported, and so they'll appear on your pop-up here. And the easiest way to do that is to just grab the BX file and throw them all in here, and all of your fonts will appear. The other way you can do it is one by one, each letter dragging and dropping into. That will take you quite some time. So I would recommend using the BX file to grab the entire alphabet and put it in here. That way you just have them all here. So I do have a couple of them, don't have too many on this particular computer. So let's just add some here. And so here's one that's quite, I think it's a little too large. Let's see, we're gonna go with, well, let's try to pick another one here. Let's just do some bold cursive, I guess. No, I'm not liking the way that F looks. So, how about some curly? That looks great. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to move this up because I want this over on the top, and I'm going to drag it over, or you can hover over and use the hand. And one thing that I want to make sure is that it is centered. So I'm going to go ahead and going to center it in the hoop. It'll bring it to the middle, but I'll use my arrow key to then bring it right back up. But I know at least that this is now in the middle of my hoop. And so we'll have that, but what I can do, I can drag it, make it a little bit bigger. I don't want to go too big. And then I'll just go back again, center it again, and drag it again. So you can kind of play around with this. It's a lot of back and forth things that you can do to move things around. But this is how you can kind of start to create your design. So, you have all kinds of other things that you can add to this. If you have other designs from another file that you liked, maybe you did, I don't know, maybe you did a little Christmas tree or something, and you want to add that Christmas tree to this, you can do that too, just by dragging and dropping it in here. So it comes out really cute, and there's so many different things that you can make with this. You can add, you can customize it with your name. Say you're making a little flag for outside, or making a little pillow that says welcome, and maybe you want to change, you don't want to say fall. Maybe you want to just say welcome, right? You can totally do that, and see how it just changes things all around. So this is super cute, and you can continue to add more things on here. Connie says, yes, a little bigger. Yes. So I like how this comes out, and then you can, if you want to add welcome home and you want to put home down on the bottom, you just go here. You're going to add another text, and you're just going to type in home. And so it's already in the middle, but I'll just double check to make sure. But actually, let me drag it first to see if I like where it's positioned. Maybe I want to make it a little bit bigger, and so I can just do this. I'm sorry, guys. Have a little tickle. Let me grab a sip here. Okay. Hope is saying, I'm going to get that design and play around with what you're showing. I'm such a visual learner. Oh, awesome, Hope. I am too. I'm very visual. I kind of have to, I'm one of those people that I can't just, you know, read something. Like, I have to see it. I have to touch it. I have to try to do it myself. That's kind of how I learn. And so I really encourage you guys to get into the software and really learn it and play around with it. Play around with all the buttons, you know, go through everything. Oh, welcome fall. Okay, yeah, we can do that too. Sure, Marge, let's change this to welcome fall. So let's go over here and we can type in fall. There we go. Now let's make this just a little bit bigger. So I can grab this corner right here. I can't make it too big, but I think I want to make it big enough, and I'm going to center it in my hoop. It's going to bring it to the center, and then I'm just going to arrow down so that it comes back down. Oops, there we go. Let's arrow down. There we are. I think that looks good. Okay. Now you can play around with the welcome if you want to do welcome and bring this down a little bit here just so it's more symmetrical. I mean, you can play around with this and you can just go all over the place with this and add so many more things. If I wanted to add more leaves, we can go back up here and we can pick another leaf or, you know, any other design that you'd like from here. You've got all kinds of different ones. Here's one here. Here's one here. Let's take this one. And again, I'm going to move it over to the side to take a better look at it. I think that looks good. I'm just going to make that a little smaller here. So it's a little too big. And maybe I want to fill it. So I'm going to jump into Stitch Artist and go ahead and fill it. There it goes. Easy peasy, right? Let's move this down and let's kind of move it over this way. And then maybe what I'm going to do is tilt it a little bit, you know, so we can kind of do that. And so you can add so many different pieces to this. You know, if you're not crazy about the colors on here, you can change the colors. Maybe on this, I want it to be, I don't know, like an orangey type of color. You can certainly do that. You can do so many different things. Where did you get all of these designs? Are they already in Embrilliance? They are, Connie. They are already in Embrilliance for you. And you can build up that library. This is what they call the library here. So if you click or hover over this icon right here, it says merge design and it says merge design from the library. So Embrilliance will give you these designs and you can add more to it. So you see the button right here, it says import catalog. You can add more of these designs into this catalog and have them all here. Or if you have a design, then you can certainly bring it in as well. So let me see if I can find something that maybe I have in here. Geometric shapes. Let's try to bring that in. I'm not sure what that is. So I have this right here. Obviously, this is not going to go with our theme, but you know, we've got some shapes. You just saw, I just dragged and dropped in a different design. And so this is just something that I had here. I can totally take this, I can resize it, move it around. This is just a design from another embroidery file that I had. And so you just drag and drop it and you can do all kinds of things with that. Now, that's obviously not going to go with the fall, so we're going to get rid of that and just hit delete. but you can drag and drop any designs that you have into your Embrilliance file right here. And, you know, that will just make your design. Now, as we are completing our design, let's say we're happy with the way this looks, this is great, we don't want to add anything further to it, and so we're ready to save it. My recommendation is to always save it as two things. Okay, so you go over to your file and you're going to have options for saving. Always save your file as a working file, and also go ahead and save it as a stitched file. The working file will allow you to go back and customize this. So let's say we went ahead and we saved this and we stitched this out, and maybe someone doesn't want it to say welcome fall. Maybe they want it to say welcome home or welcome, or, you know, they just want to change the text around, or maybe they don't like the colors and they want to change the colors around. That by you saving it as a working file, it gives you the ability to go back into the file and completely change the design as it is, right? If you save this as a stitch file, then all you're doing here is you are telling this program to say, this is what I want you to stitch out. This is the file that I'm going to bring over to my machine, and this is exactly what it is going to stitch. I am not going to have the ability to now go back in and change this file because it is a stitch file. So it's kind of like putting that iron down and making it ironclad. This is how you want it. You don't want it to be moved around anymore. That is your stitch file that you're going to be using and sending to your machine. Where the working file gives you that option to maybe later on, a month from now or whenever, maybe next year, when you look at the file, you say, you know what, I think I want to change this or I want to change that. You can do that with a working file, but you cannot do that with a stitch file. So that's the difference between the two. Heidi says she's a visual learner as well. With you showing everything step by step, it helps to figure out where things are in Embrilliance. Yes, I ran and got my laptop to follow along with you. Thank you, Nancy. Well, you're welcome, Heidi. And I'm going to do a lot more of these things with Embrilliance and with EQ8. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's nice to kind of slow down, do it step by step, and really understand not just doing it for a project, right? You want to make sure that you can really understand why you're doing certain things so that you can apply those techniques to other projects and really customize it and make it your own. So I think that, you know, it's really important to kind of understand what you are doing and what you can and can't do, right? There's certain limitations on certain things that will allow you to do certain things, but only, you know, at a certain level. So you need to understand that. And once you know what your limitations are within the system, you know, you're able to just grow your creativity and you can do all kinds of things. So that's why I really like to kind of go step by step on these. And if it's something that maybe you kind of already know, you can always hit the fast forward button, right? Okay. Alrighty, so this is how I was able to kind of change and make this file. I've already done the other one here that said welcome fall, and I added some more different leaves on here, and you can continue to add more and more leaves, or if you want to add something else like an acorn or something like that, you can do that too. You can also make these as a placemat, right? So if you're thinking of, if you're going to be using these as your utility holders, you can also do placemats, and maybe you can do something that will be similar to it. You know, maybe you want to tie the whole thing together on your setting. So for Thanksgiving, I know everyone likes to, you know, decorate and make their tables real nice and pretty. So you can have your little utensil holders, and wouldn't it be nice if you embroidered their names on them so they know where they're sitting? You can definitely do that too, and you can just add that to your design. So let's take a look at that. I believe this is the second portion of that design. So this is this back portion that you're doing that we can do in the repositional hoop. Right now I have it set up as a 5x7 hoop. But remember that I can change this to a repositional hoop very easily by just going to Edit, go to Preferences, go over to your hoop style section and change it to multi-position. And then all you're going to do is look for your 5x12 hoop, if that's the repositional hoop size that you have. So then I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll hit Apply and I'll hit OK. And you can see how it changed the look of the hoop on here. I now have a top section, a bottom section, and a middle section. That is my repositional hoop. And if I kind of zoom out here, you can see how my hoop got so much bigger. This design is only for a 5x7 right now. But if I click on it, I can go ahead and drag this here and make it a little bit bigger, right? And there we go. And so maybe now I want to add someone's name. So I can go ahead and hit the text box. And I'm going to say Mr. H.
Yay, me.
And so there he is. And so he knows where he's going to be sitting. And so I'm going to go ahead and click on the fonts here. And I'm going to go ahead. Let's see. Let's pick a little fun font here. Let's see here. Any preferences? Actually, you know what? Let's just do this one right here. Well, that might be a little too small. Let's go with something a little fancier. We can do that. So Mr. H feels really important and fancy. We can kind of bring this up to the top, or because we're going to have our Scarecrow on the bottom. And so maybe I want to get this to be a little bit bigger. So let's go ahead and make this a little bigger here. Maybe that's a little too big. No, I think that's okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to center it and then move it up. And so here we are. Mr. H will have his place in the table, right? And so there we are. We've got that all personalized, and then you can kind of continue with the rest of the design. And so you would want to save this and bring this over to your embroidery machine. And so this is a perfect example where maybe you want to make multiples of these because you want to have a name for everyone that's coming over for your dinner party. So I don't know if Mr. H will be there, but you may have other names on there that you want to change this up with. So this is a perfect example of why you would want to save this as a working file, not just a stitch file, right? Oh, thank you, Heather, for the super chat. Thank you for the great lesson and camera work. Yay! Yes, Mr. H will take all the credit for the camera work. We got to give it to Matt, right? So I guess he'll be coming to dinner, right? So we will definitely let him have a Thanksgiving dinner because he'll have a nice little utensil holder with his name on it. And so you can make this for everyone that's coming over, put their names on there, and wouldn't that be a cute little keepsake for them as well, right? They can also use this pocket for other things. You know, I was even thinking if maybe you're making a bag, a little tote bag. You've got this little pocket right here, and the design just gives you this front pocket, which let's say is just this, right? You can easily add this design to the side of a tote bag and give yourself a little pocket for that tote bag. So there's another idea where you take designs and you can make them into all different things. I mean, my mind will just keep going and going because there's just so many things that you can make with this, right? I mean, I can just go on and on about it. But that's just a couple of ideas that I wanted to kind of throw at you and, you know, let you know that they are available so you can get those creative juices flowing and going on here. And so this is how you can kind of customize it. Save that as a working file so you can come back and change the name anytime you want. And maybe you can just say, Mom. right? So mom will sit here. And so you just kind of keep changing the names and have one for everyone. And so these are just ways that you can really make them unique and customize it for your family and friends, and just kind of, you know, do things that something that they would like to see. So awesome. Yeah, he has a good seat. Yes. Alrighty, so that is what I have for you guys for today. I hope you guys enjoyed that little lesson in Embrilliance. Now let's move over to our inspirational quote of the day. Okay, so today's quote of the day is, "It's okay to try something new. With every stitch, there is an opportunity to learn and expand your knowledge." And that's absolutely correct. You won't be able to learn anything new until you give it a try. So go ahead and get into Embrilliance, play around with the buttons, click on everything, and just see what it does. You know, it's a great way to learn, and it's a lot of fun. Okay, guys, that is it. Our hour is up. I want to thank you guys for all of your support. I truly appreciate you guys being with me this morning. Don't forget to have yourself a wonderful weekend. Take that time out for yourself. And I hope you guys have a fantastic time. I will see you back here on Monday. Hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye, everyone.
So long for now, so long. Glad you stayed a while. Hope you liked my crafting style. Hope I left you with a smile. By now, keep your mind and space clutter-free. Hope your day is bright as can be. So long, my friends, till we craft once again. Bye now, stay crafting. See you tomorrow. So long, my friends, till we craft once again.